Good evening, Deepak sir.
Good evening, ma'am.
Can we start, sir?
Yes, ma'am, we can start now.
Yes. So, good evening, esteemed members of Team Research Foundation of India, our distinguished subject expert, Dr. Deepak Agrawal, sir, and all participants. I'm Dr. Neha Jain, serving as the program coordinator for the 10-day training program and FDP titled A Step-by-Step Guide to Writing a Good Research Paper. On behalf of the Research Foundation of India, I extend a heartfelt welcome to all of you. This program is a collaborative effort between the Research Foundation of India and RFI-CARE, generously sponsored by Eklavya University, JHERF, ARGF, and Edu Academic Inc. Before we dive into discussions, let me illuminate the commendable initiatives undertaken by the Research Foundation of India, committed to uplifting society and enhancing educational standards. RFI endeavors to promote Indian research through various events such as international and national conferences, seminars, workshops, symposiums, and other activities. RFI serves as a catalyst for integrating intellectual ideas globally, striving to fulfill humanity's thirst for innovation. At its core, RFI is dedicated to enhancing the educational process by fostering scholarly inquiry and facilitating the practical application of research outcomes. Moreover, RFI leads research and development initiatives in higher education, establishing strategic partnerships through Memorandum of Understanding with leading universities across India. Its membership comprises faculty, researchers, graduate students, and distinguished professionals, all contributing their diverse expertise to educational research. Notably, RFI operates independently of governmental sponsorship, ensuring autonomy and integrity in organizing over 1,000 international conferences, workshops, faculty development programs, symposia, and more worldwide. Presently, RFI boasts 87 chapters in India and 18 chapters across Asia and beyond, organized into five distinct boards representing the West, East, South, North, and Central regions.
Yes, ma'am.
Deepak Agrawal, he is an eminent embarking on his academic journey with a deep commitment to advancing knowledge. He boasts a 30-year career, melding 7 years in corporate roles with 23 years of teaching experience. He holds a PhD in management with his research focusing on IPO pricing, a study of listing, volatility, and efficient pricing mechanism. These groundbreaking work contributes not only to academic discourse but also has practical implications for the financial industry. His academic credentials include Masters in Commerce, MBA, Postgraduate Diploma in Financial Management from Chennai, and Postgraduate Diploma in Human Resource Management from IGNOU. In addition to his extensive educational background, he has an impressive portfolio of 29 research papers published in prestigious national and international journals, including two in Scopus journals. Furthermore, he has presented 16 papers at noteworthy national and international conferences. As the director at Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Technology and Management, Indore, he has been instrumental in implementing innovative teaching methodologies. His initiatives include activities-based learning programs, designing a comprehensive MBA program curriculum in finance, and establishing a 360-degree feedback system to promote transparent communication among students and authorities. Beyond academia, he has earned recognition for his outstanding achievements, including being awarded the Best Student Award for Diploma in Business Management and receiving a Certificate of Excellence from Sri Agrasen Club. He remains an active participant in the academic community, serving as an executive member of the RFI Indore chapter and a member of the Circular Economic Club Boston, USA. His commitment to continuous learning and development is evident through his engagement as a resource person for skill development at MSME and research methodology workshops at RFI India. So, please join me in extending a warm welcome to Dr. Deepak Agrawal, sir. He will be leading a session on the significant topic entitled Problem Identification and Formulation and the Art of Writing a Review of Literature. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Neha Jain ma'am. First of all, my apologies that today I am joining late in this session due to various preoccupied assignment and got late with that. And there is still some technical glitch in the system. Anyhow, so I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So thank you, RFI, for once again inviting me. And on the behalf of RFI, I'm thankful to all the participants and the associate institutes and the partners for this workshop. So in the today's this technical session program, this is the day one. The title of this today's session is Problem Identification and Formulation, to be followed by the art of writing a literature review. So there are two distinct topics which we are trying to cover in today's session. This is an outline for the today's session, which includes the research problems, sources, criteria of selection, steps in problem identification, formulation of a problem, steps involved in it. Then second part, we are going to deal with the review papers, how to read smartly those papers, how to classify the information, what are the required perquisites, review classification, plagiarism, and ultimately a little bit about citation and referencing. Because last two topics, there is are two distinct dates where you are going to go through this session independently. So whenever the question comes to our mind that where to begin, because ultimately deciding the topic is the biggest challenge, what I think so. In that case, there is one H and 5 Ws. So we need to identify the answer to these questions. Number one, that is how to begin, where should we start, then why we want to develop a research paper, what are the objectives behind it, who will work upon, myself as a single author, or I may be adding upon multiple authors, maybe more than two authors. Then when we should start. See, ultimately, when we are a research scholar, the many of the answers are always available. Okay, this is the topic of our research and we need to proceed with that. But ultimately, that topic is also going to the first three questions. Similarly, when the faculties who are new or who wants to pursue their career, in that case, they know it very well. There are two options as per the requirement. Number one, you need to clear the NET examination. And secondly, you want to get the degree of PhD. That is doctor in philosophy. So we are clear. Why? The answer to that question is why. But when to begin? So as soon we start ourselves or registered to the university for the coursework, immediately some thought, some questions comes to our mind, and we try to identify the answer for those questions. So where to begin? Where we should work upon? So as such, we will decide what will be the area. Should we go with our current university, affiliated university? Should we go ahead with any private university? Which type of institute we should select? What should be and other criteria to be followed upon? And finally, the last question to the beginning, and that is what to do. So we will find out the answer to this point in the later slides, but at least two things we need to memorize, that who will be benefited by this. Number one, our teachers, or number two, a common man, that is our society. Accordingly, we need to plan. I pursue to develop a research paper. The objective is to provide this amongst the fellow members, that is amongst the peer group. So the level, the criteria, and all these things totally different as compared when you are developing a paper related to a common person. For example, if a paper to be developed on the future further implication of the COVID injections after second dose, or maybe after third dose, or maybe booster dose. So the report will be helpful to the common man. The selection of the language should be simple so that it can be easily understandable. But once you want to produce amongst the scientific community, in that case, they can use the technical words. So this is how we should try to start with looking for the answers, at least those who are planning to pursue their thesis work or even for your research, developing the research paper. Now, what is a research problem? In the words of Kringer, a problem is an interrogative sentence. It is in the question mark or a statement that asks what relation exists between two or more variables. So, in a simplified way, a research problem is the specific issue or a gap in the existing knowledge. Again, the question mark may comes upon कि as per our knowledge, there is some gap exist in it, but may not necessarily require that there is a gap. So, I want to conduct a research on the buying habits of the customers in a mall. There is nothing new. You may have found hundreds of research on this particular topic. So what we need to identify, what is the research gap? There may be many type of questions comes to you. Then the form of research gap. Number one, it may be related to a particular mall, may be related to a particular segment, may be related to a particular area, may be related to a particular country. So some gap you will find it out. This gap we need to identify, and on this gap we will proceed. Second question comes that where we will find out this gap, and this gap will be identified in the literature review. Continuing with the problem, and your aim is to address in your research. So whatever the research gap you identify in your work, your objective is to find out the solution or answer to that question. You may choose to look for practical problems and aim at contributing to change, first part, or theoretical problems aimed at expanding knowledge. So ultimately, research problems can be sorted out in two ways. One is the practical oriented, which is helpful for the corporates, and secondly is theoretically helpful for the academicians or the academicians. The practical problems are having more practical implication because it is been directly going to affect the society as a whole. So I should say it is based upon the holistic approach. Theoretical problems are segmented and related to a particular area, and we try to find out the solution in theoretical terms, which can be further implemented to get out the real practical outcomes from it. So the meaning of the research problem has been clear. So the first element required that whenever we want to decide the title, first of all, just go through a review papers, just try to read them, find out the gap which may exist to you accordingly, and then just proceed with that for whom it will be beneficial. Next part. Why to have a research problem? Okay. Having an interesting topic is a strong enough basis for academic research. The topic may be very good for you, but some of the times it may not getting the real outcome, which is what we expect for. So without a well-defined research problem, you are likely to end up with unfocused and unmanageable projects. So this is an extension to the previous slide, that why to determine the research problem, the ultimate answer to define the problem very clearly so that it ultimately contributes to the society with your work. And finally, we can say that it is the first step towards knowing exactly what you will do and why you want to do. So we should always start with the first slide with these five basic questions with 5 W's and 1 H. And finally, we will end up with the reason with identifying the problems. What are the components involved in research problems? So, number one, there must be an individual or the group which have some difficulty to resolve. I am interested in a single point of research. As a single person, I am looking for a specific problem. If it is having the large level to the large extent, then we can have a group, and ultimately this group can try to sort out the problem. Consider one example that there is a problem of traffic jam at particular square, whomsoever, whatsoever place you belongs to. It is not an individual problem. It is a problem for all the people who are passing through that group, through that area. So it can be a group activity. You can have a team of 4 members, 5 members. They will conduct a survey. They will conduct a research. They will go with a people just outputs, and they will give a suggestion. Okay, this should be a probable solution for this particular problem. So this is the first of the first component for research problem. Secondly, research problem should be identified and followed by the objectives. And these are the objectives which the researcher tries to find out the solution for it. My management fraternities do understand that there is a concept of vision, mission, and then it comes upon the objectives. So there can be an objective single or maybe plural, maybe more than one objective. So it is to be decided by the researcher that what is the level of problems, and accordingly the sub points to be decided or determined. Next component, that there must always be alternate means for attaining the objective. Do not land up with a single solution. In your research, you need to identify the various means. Similarly, the problem that during the peak hours, there is a traffic jam and it took near about 30 minutes to cross over that square. So what should be the alternate means? This we are going to research, which we are going to identify and find out the solution. Alternate means can be that there can be more signaling time can be there, or it can be reduced. There should be the alternate service roads must develop. Third alternate, maybe a overbridge can be developed, or just like in Delhi, they have done even odd such type of alternates can be there. There can be permission only for 2-wheelers or 4-wheelers to cross that square. So there can be many alternates. And out of that, we need to apply the test to each and every alternate and just find it out which is the best alternative as per you. Not necessarily required which whatever alternate you have recommended may be followed by each and every person. And if they do so, another problem will come, and that according to that alternative, the traffic jam will be there. Third component, next component, that there must remain some doubt in the mind of the researcher with regard to the selection of alternatives. So there should be some question marks and going through the alternative. Don't end up with that alternative. Okay, I have suggested that you can have a long signal hours, signal time, and this is the solution for it. No. But again, there should be a research question. If the signal time is being increased, then what will be the impact? So still, there is some doubt about it. And in this case, again, it can provide a way to the further researchers. So these are the basic components of research problem. Now, theoretical types of research problems. So we have classified the research problems into 3 broad categories. Just as discussed, theoretical research problem, basically most commonly used for the academicians. Second is the applied research problem. You hear experiments, you test, and you come up with the outcomes. The third one is the action research problem, where you go ahead with the practical implications and the real outcomes are having more meaningful information as compared to earlier two, that is theoretical and applied research. So it all to be decided amongst these 3, which alternate you wish to follow. Okay, let us discuss a little bit more about this research problems. In terms of theoretical research problem, it is explanatory and provide basic definition of problem area of information gap. Ultimately, it theoretically deals with that. Probably you may get the solution of this problem in literature review itself. Okay. Second is applied research problem. They are non-systematic problems. It involves the practical use of theoretical knowledge. So whatever the theories you have learned, you will try to implement it. Just like if you have gone through one case study and you have just gone through, you have identified certain solutions for it, you will try to implement all those solutions in order to get the appropriate answer for it. So ultimately, practical implementation has been required along with your theoretical learnings. It includes an exploratory hypothesis and test to verify the accuracy of the hypothesis. My fellow members will agree, no research ends without objectives, sorry, starts with objectives and ends without having any test and conclusions. Again, the question may arise, and you will go through in the next session, probably tomorrow, that is it necessary to draft the hypothesis? Answer is no, it is not necessary and not compulsory. But if your objectives demands for it, in that case, you need to determine the hypothesis, and at the second side, to verify, you need to apply some statistical tools, test, and discussions. So this is how applied research problems can be resolved. Third is the action research problems. It is similar to applied research problem and aims to provide solutions for problem, but it is at the same side more time sensitive in nature. Action taken. You have a limited time span and you need to draft the solution within that time span only. So what should be the image? There is a strike in a factory. There need to action research problem. What should be taken so that the strike can be put off with the minimum stipulated time? So that comes under the third category. So this is the ladder for the problem identification and steps. We will go through some of these steps in the later slides. How we should proceed with the problem identification. First of all, identify the subjects. Initially we did. Identify the problem that we did with the previous slide. To the next step, we will proceed with the literature review. So we are going to discuss in the next part. Then design subjects and data collection. It's not a date, it's data. Design subjects and data collection, data gathering, data analysis, implications and conclusions, to be followed by recommendation and ultimately the publication of the research. So these are the standard operating procedures we usually follow amongst the research work. Steps in problem identification. Statement of the problem in general way. Initially, you can determine the problem as a layman. In a very simplified manner, it can be drafted. If required, then we will think and rethink, and we will specify the problem in the later stage. Try to understand the nature of the problem involved. Again, the survey the available literature. In order to determine the problem, you should go initially with the literature survey. I always recommend the learners that whenever you want to proceed to develop a research paper or even for your dissertation work, it's better you always start with the literature review. Because once you will go through the papers, you will try to understand more about your topic. Might be possible, you may modify your topic. Secondly, the available literature will help you out to determine the optimum tool for your data analysis. This is the benefit you will get. And thirdly, it also provides a solution to the earlier researches conducted by other authors so that you may follow those footsteps or you may work somewhat differently. Next step is developing the ideas through discussion. Don't think upon just like a single person is smart enough, that is ekla chalo re. It's better you can discuss your problem identified with your peer group, with your friends, with your relatives who are capable enough to answer it, even through your students, because they are the young and fresh bloods and brain, so they may provide you some good insights about it. And again, rephrase the research problem into the working proposition. See, in the similar manner, when you start working with your paper, in the later stage, you might come upon that there is a need to modify the objectives, or in case it might be required to modify the title of the paper. So don't worry, developing a research paper, it is permissible, but in terms of dissertation, it is not permitted. Once it has been approved by the research degree committee in the RDC, then you can't modify the topic. You can modify the objectives, but the title can never be modified in that case. Even grammatical error should not be there. So this is how we are starting with the problem identification. Number one, define the problem in the very general way. How? That is problem identification. Here is one example. Does negative news interest people more than positive news? There is a one word answer, that is yes. People are more interested to go through the negative news because it creates interest amongst the reader. And this is why the newspaper agencies and any other online resources, they used to focus more upon the negative news. Dainik Bhaskar, Monday edition, they specifies there is no negative news unless it is very important to show. Why? Because ultimately the negative, there should be some positiveness. This is how the media should work upon. So this is the question, a generalized question. Does negative news interest people more than the positive news? So the further step says narrow it down by rethinking over the problem. So we have redefined the same sentence as, does negative news such as robbery, corruption interest people more than the positive news like country's economic growth? What we did, we have re-specified. First, we thought in the general way. Now, secondly, we are filtering it. We are redefining it. We have added two verbs, that is robbery and corruption. And third, that is the country's economic growth. Okay. How to define in general way? Study the related subject thoroughly. Do preliminary survey or pilot survey. So what we need to do in general way when we are talking about study go through the subject and just read upon the other authors who worked upon the similar problems. You will always find somewhat similar to the work done by others. When we talk about the initial research done for the COVID, in that case, no researchers can claim that it is one of the unique of its kind. No, because it has been identified as somewhat similar disease or a pandemic in earlier times. So that earlier research done by the researchers for those pandemic has been correlated with the current research, and this provides a platform. Okay, in that case, this was the situation, and they have tried this type of medicines, and this is an extension to that. Let us develop few medicines in such a way so that it may help upon. So this is how we can say that nothing is very, very new, and you can't claim that no research has been conducted ever on this particular topic. So through the next step, understand the nature of the problem, Best way to the problem is that through discussion, discuss with the people who have the good knowledge about this problem. So ultimately what we did, we identify the problem, and now it's time to discuss with the people to find it out. Okay, can we move ahead with this particular topic? Many times it happens that we are highly impressed on one of the topic which has been done, a research has been done by some another author, and we try to adopt that topic or a title for our own research. Once it has been approved, you can't escape yourself from that title. So what will be the problem? In the near future, if you want to modify, that is not permissible. You need to carry over on through that topic only. So it is better discuss it amongst yourself, your family, your peer group, so that they can put their valuable inputs for your work. Even do not hesitate to correspond the earlier authors whose papers you have gone through it, or whose dissertation you have gone through it. Send them the mail, wait for the time for the response by those authors. If they do not reply, you can send the second mail, requesting mail to them, and just wait for it. Even no solution is available, try parallel to the various other authors. You will get somewhat good feedback. Now, so finally, what we did, we identify the problem. Initially, we have decided, okay, we will go through this particular problem and try to find out the solution about it. And this is how you can decide the title of your paper. Spare time for it. Don't be in a hurry. Just going through 3, 4 literature reviews or 3, 4 papers. Don't decide, okay, that we will go through this paper. No, don't do it. Spare time towards the problem identification. Once you get involved in it, you will get the pathway to proceed. So as such, what we need to do? We need to do the literature survey. What is the help we used to get? Number one, literature survey helps to put down the problem into the narrower format. It will narrow down our problem. Secondly, as already discussed, to identify the research gaps. So under literature review, we always put a statement that as per the research papers reviewed by authors, maybe single or plural, we have identified this particular research gap in these papers. Once again, not necessarily required. The remaining papers which we have not visited, there may be a solution to that problem. I want to identify the saving habits amongst the retired people to the state of MP. Okay, this is the problem that we have narrowed down. Even you can further narrow down. If MP is a big data, then you can reduce to the city, even you can reduce to the town, even you can reduce to the students or particular institute or a university. So there is a gap you identified as per your studies, but there may be tons of papers available who have already worked upon this topic. Gives now what is the help of literature review? Third point, that it gives new idea in related work. Some of the times it might be possible that something new can come upon. I just like to share my idea. Long back, I've gone through one research paper that clicked me to work upon my thesis work. Although just after going through that research paper for after 2 years, I thought, okay, I should work upon on this particular topic. That research paper was not including anything, but that topic motivates me. Okay, I should try to work upon on this particular topic. So this is how the new ideas can be related with the existing ideas. And this ideas, particularly literature review, helps for research designing. Already discussed, it will provide you the idea, data tools, data collection, data analysis. All these things can be get down with the help of this available literature. So first of all, decide the problem on which you want to work upon, identify that problem, and then collect the literature reviews, as many as you can do it. The second step, what we have seen earlier, that is the developing the idea through discussions. Which type of discussions and where benefits we get? Discussions always produces fruitful information. You may get the negative output, you may get the positive output. Don't worry about it. That's why we are discussing it. Be open with your ideas. Debate, argue, doesn't matter, but in fruitful way. Okay, and then just decide. Okay, this is this. Then we can proceed. New ideas can be generated by doing such exercise, and researcher must discuss problems with and colleagues. Second step, that is, you should always discuss this problem with your colleagues or to whom you feel that the person is experienced enough who can support in the research problem. I worked upon the problems related with the initial public offerings, that is the primary issue in the capital market. I earlier worked with the finance company and lots of engagement with the share trading based firms. So what I did, rather than theoretically, I approached to those brokers and sub brokers. Okay, I'm interested to work upon this particular topic, how I should proceed. They have provided few ideas. Okay, you do this thing and that thing. Either there were the very options available. You can conduct the research on the secondary data. Many papers were available on the secondary data, but hardly very few papers at that time was available on the primary data. So their ideas I try to incorporate, and secondly, firstly, the paper which earlier I have gone through it, that motivates me to work on the primary, on the IPO pricing, and secondly here this is how I confirmed my work. It has also been recommended, if required, you can go with the experience survey. You can collect the data with the well-structured questionnaire to identify the topic on which you wish to work upon. Selecting a topic for a research paper may be easy, but for your dissertation work, it should not be too short, so it is a difficult task. Unless and until you are very specific about your topic. The second step comes, that is developing the content. So you can see it on the screen. There is a graph chart, flow chart, generating quality content people wants to share. So many of the things it not might be viewable due to the small fonts. I will just try to read out the few of them. Blog about your insights and identify the news. You can use the blog, the new technology is available. So you can put your thoughts and ideas to the blogs and get output and input, and get the output from the people from there. Put your input and output, both of it. Create quality material. You can even have the fun videos. So it is more reachable. Beware, to be very serious about your topic, some fun videos may be helpful in getting the outcomes in a much easier way. Develop insights with the papers or the reports which are to be developed upon. So there are the many things you need to work. The first thing, that is developing your program design and writing the front matter and the executive summary. Don't worry, this both can be modified number of times, and it will be as you proceed with your research paper development. So after that, what we need to do? Rephrasing the research problem into a working proposition. What we will do? We will rephrase the sentence, the research problem, into operational terms, actually where you can work upon. Frame initial research question with why. Just here an example. Why is productivity in China is much higher as compared to India? This is a research problem we have identified. Usually it is a trend. 2 to 3 research problems we always put in while developing the thesis or writing a thesis. The same can be with the research paper also. After the clear understanding about the problem through the available literature, now the question need to be rephrased. So this was the initial question. Problem identified. Why productivity in China is higher as compared to India? And now we need to rephrase to so that it should be more elaborative. What factors were responsible for the higher labor productivity of China's, comma, Japan's manufacturing industries during the specific period 2011 to 20 relative to India's manufacturing industry? You can see the difference. Ignore Japan if you do not wish to do it. First of all, what we did, simply productivity is now been replaced with labor productivity. Okay. What now we need to identify why the labors are more productive. I have gone through few articles and they says in India, labor works for 9 hours in a day. In China, the labor works for 12 to 14, 15 hours in a day. So in terms of productivity, you will definitely have more, but in terms of employee satisfaction, it is negative. So this point is missing in our research question. So this can be the another point. If you are proceeding with an HR-based research, talk about the employee satisfaction with the help of a primary survey. You may not get the survey-based reports from the Chinese companies, but at least you should try, or on the basis of certain reports, you should try to communicate the Chinese or the researchers who work in the China for the China environment. Then be specific. You need to define the research period, otherwise it will lose its importance. You need to always try to update it. Let me update. Industries during to at least 10 years or 5 years data we are focusing upon. So let me update to 2018 to 2024 as compared to India's manufacturing industries. But when you proceeded with your work, already 2-3 years has passed upon. So 3 years data to this particular category will not be very informative. So you can extend the duration or you can change the period. It all depends upon the availability of the data and the hard work you have done upon it. These are the some do's and don'ts to be done in terms of problem selection. Define your topic is essential. First, choose your topic and refine your topic with a clear hypothesis. We have already discussed this point. Topic will be defined, refined, and re-refined and redefined many times. Write on the regular basis and make a real effort not to postpone the phases of the writing process. Usually, we all are very busy in the practical life. Everyone, including myself and yourself, develop a habit to write at least 1 page in a day on your particular topic so that your mind will be working upon on that particular topic. If the gap exists, you will just forget out what you want to do in your work. Basic problem, we don't have time. Don't worry. We hope that we may get free at 10:30 or 11 o'clock or maybe 12 o'clock in the late evening. Just work for 1 hour, write something, and then go to bed. And if you are good enough to wake up early, so it's the best time. At least 1 hour you should spend for the work, and then you can carry over your day-to-day activity. but regular writing is essentially required. Organize your material to form arguments. Explain your arguments in step and demonstrate reasoning. So this can be done by yourself. Organize your content in such a manner so that you can just argue yourself and try to find out the solution for it. One basic elementary thing it always comes that whenever we start writing, we start focusing on correcting the grammatical error. Again, I suggest don't worry about the words. Don't worry about the grammar that we are going to rectify it later. Whatever the thoughts which is coming to your mind, you just keep on writing it down through electronic media or through on the papers. Just keep jotting down, keep writing, keep writing, keep writing. Because once that thought process moves away, then it will be difficult for you to get again back on that particular topic. So whenever you are writing in any manner, even you are drafting a mail, you are drafting a letter, this is what the software facilitates us. So we should write, keep on writing, and rest of the thing will be taken care later. Build confidence as a writer by analyze the things that go well. Here is a challenge, and that is the language. I hope many of the people who may be attending, many of the scholars who are attending this session, maybe not firm in Hindi or any regional language, including English. So ultimately, there is an hesitation how we can write. We doesn't know anything about it. Various softwares are available. Various conversion tools are available. You write whatever comes to your mind in your local regional language, and then use the help of the Google tools, and they will convert your text into the respected language which you required by you. So this will create a confidence. In case of any hesitation, use the grammarly tools, use the dictionary, use the online material just to check it out that whatever you are thinking is grammatically correct or not. Next part, when you are aware that the things which has already been done many of the times, I once again take the example of COVID-19 and hope so. Now the tons of papers are available online on this particular pandemic. If you think that there is nothing very importantly you are going to add in that research, is better you should not move ahead unless and until some scientific work has been carried over and it is going to help the humanity. You should proceed, otherwise you should some another topic, because it is a very difficult to determine that what will be your own contribution. The expert will ask you, so this is the done, it's okay, it's already been available, what is your contribution? You will say, no, 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 I've just focused upon this particular city, and I have conducted the interview of 100 participants, and this is how we have determined the research. No, there is the data available of thousands of respondents. So how your this 100 people or 100 respondent data is different with the earlier works? There may be a question mark. Next thing you should always try to avoid, and that is the controversial subjects. Don't debate, don't include any controversial based subjects, because it may create lots of problem in the near future. You know it, in the social media, any statement given by any of the person becomes a big problem for that person. So try to avoid such type of subjects. Better focus upon such things which may be helpful to the humanity. Research question should be very, very clear, just we have seen in the earlier statement. That is like an example. Why are social networking sites harmful? This is an unclear statement. So what we should do? We need to define this statement completely. How are online users experiencing, or how are online users social networking sites as Instagram and Twitter, etc.? So this can be two type of questions. How are online users experiencing social networking sites, etc., etc., or how are online users experiencing about the social networking sites? And you can even define if required. So rather than simply putting a simple question, basic question, should be detail about it. So this is the first part of our today's session. This is do and don'ts in the terms of problem selection. In case of any queries, you just put it on and we will discuss at the end of my presentation. Let us continue. Today, I'm again sorry that with the session time will be extended as per the given slot time, but I will try to cover as much as has been possible. Second is the art of writing a literature review, the art of reading the literature review. So what is a literature review? It is a critical analysis of public sources where on a particular topic which has been conducted by the earlier researchers. It provides a summary, classification, comparison, and evaluation. So these are the four outcomes comes from the literature review. It provides the author's knowledge on the particular field of studies, which includes developmental history, theories, key variables, which provide an idea to adopt those variables, and phenomena, along with the methods and outcomes. So ultimately, literature review is the critical analysis of any work which has been published by the earlier authors, and our objective is to go through and to just find out that this particular topic helps us in our research or not. So the answer to the questions like why review, to identify the work done on the similar topic, to get into the insights of the proposed research work. It is thirdly helpful in enhancing the knowledge of your field. By going through the earlier studies, it will provide more knowledge to you. Okay, this work has been done. This is how they have proceeded, and accordingly, we should follow these 4 steps. To understand the various tools implemented in their studies, I again discussed that it will provide you an idea which statistical tools or research tools should can be used by us. You can follow those 4 steps or you can have your own research tools. It all depends upon your command over the statistics and their implementations. If you are good, it's okay. Don't worry. Nowadays, even you can take the help of the professionals. It has been permitted. But please mention in your tool analysis or the data analysis that we have taken the help of the experts to analyze these tools. Ultimately, you need to defend your viva. In that case, you need to answer to such type of questions. So if it is having a technical glitch, you can say that we have taken the help of an expert and these are the final outcomes which is been derived from that tool. Another review the points helps to reveal and gap exist in the literature. This we have discussed number of times in today's session. The first biggest problem, identifying the topic. But before that, something is in our mind and we try to identify, okay, which type of done is been done by the others on this particular topic, and then we will finalize our topic. So for that, we are conducting the literature review. So here, how you should proceed, you can take the screenshot if required. That is, identify your questions. Review discipline style, which type of system they have followed upon. Start searching the literature reviews available. It can be online mode, offline mode, journals, printed, media, anything. Manage your references. Once you go through the literature review, you simply keeps on downloading those papers. But at the same time, we forgot to download the reference of that paper. After few months, once you will again going through that paper, it will be difficult to search upon and to identify that from where it was been downloaded. So simultaneously, what you do, you should save the link or the ISSN number along with the volume number of that particular journal or an article you go through it, either from a magazine, anything should be noted in the systematic manner so it is available for reference in the future period. Under literature review, what we will do in the next step, that is critically analysis and evaluated. You have gone through 50 papers, but amongst them, once you go through, you just identify that 30 papers is not useful for you. Remove it. But don't delete it. Dump in somewhere in a folder. Sometimes it may be required to go through those papers. So critically analyze and evaluate those data. Synthesize it. Try to group them. Suppose if you are going with the international studies, so it can be grouped in terms of demographic or geographical distributions, maybe continent wise, subcontinent wise, division wise, maybe on the basis of gender, that is in terms of demographic characteristics, anything can be there. This is how you can subdivide those data so even filtered information can be gathered. And finally, when you have done all of these 6 activities, you should start writing the review. Same thing. Don't worry initially about the content. If you feel some of the points should be carried by us, please copy paste. Later on, when you are finalizing your literature review, you just check it out that it should not be plagiarized. You have downloaded one paper, you have copied 10 lines from that paper into your Word file, and it is to be considered as a plagiarized material. No, we should not do it. Initially, you can have it, but later on, write in your own words to overcome the plagiarism. So have a gist of that particular reference you are going through it. From those 10 lines, you write the contents in your own words, and this is how you can overcome the plagiarism. And don't forget to cite the author. I hope you may be clear with the word citation and referencing. Citation is simply the author's name along with a year of publication, and rest of the thing is been taken care in the referencing section. So you start writing the review. This is how you should proceed. Okay. Now let us proceed. This we have already discussed, so I'm leaving it out. Okay. Basic definition we have already seen. Let us go through some of more basic definitions, one or two hardly. Will not spend much of the time over here. In terms of a definition, that literature review is a framework for relating new findings to previous findings in the discussion section of your dissertation. So this is another characteristics of conducting a literature review. Whatever you write in the literature review section, the same thing is helpful while you are in the discussion chapter. So this is how it will be more meaningful and helpful to you. Okay. Now, before writing the literature review for your dissertation work, it is always decided, it is always recommended in the meantime, you develop a research paper. I usually suggest my scholars, you collect the review, don't worry about 30, 40, 50, 70, 100, whatever they are. You collect the review papers, identify, classify as discussed in the above slides, and then you try to develop a research paper on the review in the form of a review paper. There is a different style to write the review papers as compared to the normal paper writing. There is more probability of the plagiarism because almost 100% of the content has been taken from the authors who have written earlier. So it is a challenge to rewrite those papers in your own words in order to overcome the plagiarism. So here it has been suggested that while writing the review papers, you can classify the work into three categories: pre-research, during research, and after research. What are the key features of a literature review? REVIEW. So review, the first character R stands for relevance. You need to determine that whatever you are reading must be related to your topic. E stands for the expertise of the author. Now, whatever on the basis of your learnings, you can modify and filter the required contents. And your learnings depends upon your educational background, your qualification, and your expertness. If suppose I proceed to develop a paper on some scientific topic, I am a man from management side. Finance is my area. Commerce is my area. So it's very difficult for me. So on the basis of my educational background, I will try to develop the things which is suited to my particular area. Third is V, stands for viewpoint of the author or the organization for whom you are working. You can take the examples of the IIMs and IITs and many other private institutes. They used to work, they used to get the project and fundings from the corporates, even from the government, to find out the solution for a particular problem. The same example, if there is a problem of traffic jam in Indore city at the peak hours, they have taken the help of the IITians and IIMs to determine the solution for such type of problems. So what has been actually there? It has been funded by the state government or maybe local municipal corporation or anything else. So your viewpoint should be strictly focused to provide the solution on that specific problem. Then here you need to think upon that the interest of the topic, for whom it is meant to be done, the purpose of the source, etc. Third, next point is I, fourth point. I stand for the intended audience. Again, discussing that to whom you are going to provide this outcome, to a general public or a scholarly audience. A paper which has been presented in the technical conferences is to be based solely for the scholarly audience. We assume that this such type of audience are well aware and they are well capable to understand these technical outcomes. Or if in commonly addressing to a general public, maybe all fraternities, parents, common students, or to the society. Accordingly, you decide in terms of developing a review paper. Second last is E for evidence. Put the evidence in the as a part of your support. How it will be put? How it will be done? It is done in the form of referencing. If you have carried any work from any other author, you need to provide the credit to that author. Again, you can see it on the screen. This review chart, this review description is not my thought. I have taken from someone else, some another source. So for that, I need to provide a credit to that source. The credit, there is a specific steps to be followed to provide the credit. And you see, this is adapted from the source and the date of accession on which I have retrieved this information. Because web pages are dynamic by nature, this information might be available on this date, but presently it may not it. So that's why we need to determine the date on which this page was been accessed. And the last W stands for that when this information was published. There are two things: original publication, revised publication, and adopted by someone else. A book written by Adam Smith on economics was in the year 1776 somewhere. It's hardly more than 250 years, approx 250 years old. So this original source, we have not gone through it. We have only gone through the republished material. So what we will do, we'll just look out when it was been republished and through which publisher it was been published. Identified that it was republished, 7th or 8th edition, in the year 1913 by Wells Publishers. Again, 1930 is too old, it is more than 100 years. So you can provide this reference, but at the second side, you please give the extension where this reference was been adopted. So definitely this reference has been referred by some another author in his or her work. So you provide both the things. Number one, original source that is been published by Adam Smith in 1776 and adopted by the last reference which you are referring in your work. So this is how you need to determine that when the original article was been published. Then there can be revised number of pages. So what you can say, revised on. One of my paper on mutual fund has been revised 4 or 5 times during the span of 20 years. So the further authors who is referring my paper, in their citation or in the referencing, they will say original paper published on this year and revised on and this year. So this is also having an importance when you are going with the international research publications, Scopus-based journals, Web of Science. They used to focus on all these factors. This is the structure of a review. Introduction, purpose of writing review, the need and importance of review, scope, the criteria used for selection of literature, then draw conclusion in the literature review chapter or section. Conclusion should always be aligned with the objective what you have planned to work upon. After that, next step, check the grammatical errors. Your paper must be free from grammatical errors. There are various online softwares are available. You can go through and take the help of it. And ultimately, and the final step is to check the plagiarism. If it is above the prescribed limit, modify your contents or otherwise remove those contents from it. So this is a small process. The same thing it has been in a flowchart. So step 1, topic selection for a literature review. Number 1, decide that you can, whatever you want to do should be within a time frame. Already discussed that establish the research quotient through which we want to conduct your review, and initially it should be broader and later on it should be narrower by nature. Identify the most relevant sources on your topic. There can be n number of sources available nowadays. Just how? Look at the books. Just verify yourself that how many of us in the present scenario are referring books for developing a research paper. The figure will be very, very less. We can conduct a research on it. We can develop a paper on it. Because everything is now easily available through the net. We use the Google Maharaj, put the topic, and all reports are available within a few seconds. So the resources, number 1 is book. Second is the journals you need to refer in terms of citations also. Because journals provide the variable informations. Besides that, you can go through the various articles which may be online or offline mode. Elementary source, whose data you will get from thesis and dissertations, but if you copy the content from it, it already comes under the category of plagiarism. So only include the main contents for your referencing purpose under this step. Then there can be case studies, conference papers which have been published in the form of ISBN or maybe published in the form of souvenir. There can be e-prints, various types of reports, agencies, government, industries, academic reports, and finally the internet size. There is a statutory warning, and it says that don't rely heavily on the electronic full text material. We gone through the research scholar or Google Scholar, identify the content, we have downloaded that paper, we read it, we found a way, and we proceeded with that. So it is equally important you please go through the various search materials. Usually the printed materials are not available on the net, and by referring those such type of material you can overcome the problem of plagiarism, because whatever and whichever is available on the net, it automatically falls under the category of plagiarism. So this is also the one of ways you can avoid these things. Rather than downloading the definition or a content from online source, you take the help of the books and use it. But please don't forget to provide the credit to that source. Even we can use the dictionaries, encyclopedia to provide more weightage to your work as and where it is been required. Just like I have just defined what is literature review in the form of dictionary meaning. Similarly, it can be focused over here. You refine your search. There are various online, offline modes are available. Search and refine. So there are certain websites. This is only an example for you. You can follow any of your choice, like UNSA, ssrn.com, googlescholar.com, and which maintains the huge database. Nowadays, even you can provide this complete data with the help of by using just the tools like Delnet, JGet, and many online tools are available. Even you can take the help of the UGC website to download the research publications in the form of theses and dissertations, and can be used for your research work. There are scholarly journals who go through a rigorous process or quality assessment by several research and study. Another thing comes upon, there are many types of journals available which may be authentic or may not be authentic. Like any research publication with a double-blind peer review, they are writing, but they have not gone through this exercise. You will find an article, but the originality of that article is not authenticated. It is available, but how to identify the originality? So in that case, go through the recommended journals only, identify its location and check it out that this journal is presently available, it is been credited or not. Otherwise, avoid it. To simplify your work, we should learn to apply the filter engines. Just like you can put and or not, wildcards, logical brackets for searching the databases. So by applying such type of filters, you can save time and you will get the more prescribed information. Next one. Read and analyze. So already again talking the same thing, that go through the paper, go through the themes, sub-themes, and then analyze that which journal we should select and what should be downloaded for a future referencing. Do they present one or different solutions? Whichever paper you are referring, just imagine it. Are they really helpful and meaningful to the current situation? A journal paper published in 1942 due to Great Depression may not be meaningful to the current scenario. India is shining, and at the time there was a Great Depression period. So it is having no much related information, can be used as a part of a citation purpose only. Secondly, how well do they present the material and do they portray according to the appropriate theory? That means we need to identify the importance of his outcome to our work. The earlier paper is having their own objectives in mind. Accordingly, it was been developed. But here we need to match those objectives. If it is, it's okay. If not, ignore it. And a raging debate, pick one of the things to focus the organization for your reviews. So what we did, this is the initial first step regarding developing a literature review. We created a complete mindset. These steps we followed, and then we started downloading the paper. Once it has been downloaded, we'll move to the second part, and that is writing the literature review. It is again divided into three basic elements, that is introduction, body text, and summary. We need to learn that how they are organized and which are the points and subpoints to be included. Now, the basic thing has been suggested once again from my side. You simply download the material in a Word file, and secondly, just copy down or write down the source of referencing of this paper. What actually we are doing, just like this may be a plagiarized content, but here I have used because I will check it out in my future when I'm finalizing the literature review. So this information I have copied, and this was the source of information. This is the second information I have copied, and this is the second source of information. So this is to be known as a temporary referencing. There can be two ways. One, either this referencing can be noted here itself, or secondly, the referencing can be done in the form of footnotes. This option is available in MS Word software in the referencing section. So that can be the second way. See, footnote where? In Word, this is a reference section. Here you will adopt the style of referencing. And here you can insert the footnote. You can using this option, click on it. It is automated numbering. This is the information, and I want to put in the form of footnote. It is automatic numbered, and this information is now in the form of footnote. So once you remove this information from the page, it will be automatically moved out from the footnote. Second goodness, if you add something above this reference over here, and it is been added in the form of footnote, this number is automatically changed. That will be at footnote number 1. So this Goldrich will be at footnote number 2. So these are the two ways through which you should maintain it. How to organize the literature review. Now, writing down the literature review can be further classified into three broad categories. Number, what is the process? It can be arranged in the chronological order, that means in the form of a historical review. Anything which happened earlier must be recorded first, and then we should proceed to the second thing. Consider an example. Something has been noted which has been written, may be written in unorganized elements, that is in the form, not in the form of a chronological order. So what we did, we later on rearrange the same thing in the chronological order. You can see that 98, then 2007, 10, 10, 14, and this is how we have written the on the basis of historical information. This is the extension to the same point. The event which occurred earlier will come first. Just like another example, the various global crises in the world 92 Harshad Mehta scam, 94 Mexican scam, 98 Asian scam, 2001 Ketan Parekh scam, 2003 Promise a P note scam, and the 2006 FI scam. Presently, again, some of the experts they are talking that 2024 is the combination of the Harshad Mehta and Ketan Parekh scam. The market is increasing at any rate and falling at by any rate. So there may be various scams applicable, so but they are arranged in the chronological order. This can be the one of the way. Now this is very fruitful in terms of literature, of arts students, sciences if we talk upon, historical reviews if we talk upon. But when you want to go with a current affairs based review, in that case it is not so suitable. Then further, there can be subdivision of your work in the form of the literature review. Just like I told, literature review, first point on the historical basis, complete review can be done. Second way, it can be on the basis of geographical or the demographic characteristics. And thirdly, it can be on the basis of the objectives, which can be further divided on the basis of hypothesis if required, again further been divided in terms of international and domestic studies. So you can see the example. Here it is been determined on the basis of the foreign authors, international evidences. Next slide on the basis of Indian evidences. But they are arranged in the chronological order. See, Indian evidence 96, 97, 2009, 10, 12, etc. There are various ways to record the citations in terms of several authors. There is a specific style you will learn in the later part of your workshop. So I'm not focusing much more upon it, but at a glance, there are the several ways where you can post the citations in the specific format. This is the one of the way. This is the second way, by using the author surname, year of publication, comma, then second publication, then etc. And again in the chronological order, 95, 2002, 2, 3, 4, 2010, and so on. Second way, this is historical. Second is through publication. The information which is related to us should be included first, and then it should be proceeded with the next information. Like in terms of an example, regarding talking about book building, the information provided by Ritter in 1998 is more meaningful as compared to the information provided by the earlier authors. So this is the second way to organize your review, irrespective of the year of publication. Most relevant will come first, and then again in the later periods. Third is the thematic. A related subject information will be gathered altogether. The very important information will be included first and then followed by the rest of the information. It is basically the combination between the two first parts. Whenever you are adding the further information, it will always in the chronological order. An important topic on this specific content will record it first. So this is another way. Just like a review on the internet impact on elections in India, the study focus only on one topic. Still, it will be organized chronologically, reflecting technological developments in media. So the basic difference between the chronological and the thematic, that approach is what is emphasized the most. More relevant studies will come first, followed by the later studies. So we have finished off with the second part. Initially, we did learn how to determine the literature review. Secondly, we finished off with writing the literature review. And in the third step, we will move ahead with summarizing the literature review. So this is further classified as into three elements. The conclusion should always be on the basis of objective wise conclusion, must include agreements and disagreements in the literature. Any other gap which has been identified should be provided over there in the concluding part, and overall perspective on the topic should also be included. So through these three ways, you must end up with the conclusion. We know it that without conclusion, no work has been finished on it. Even if required, you can use the tables. So see, there are two ways they are providing: sample description, study period, methodology, summary of the empirical findings, and the conclusion. These tabular forms can be adopted by this author. What they are now, this format is going to help you a lot in your dissertation writing, because here we have already gone through this content, and once we are in the discussion chapter, we need to go through this again. So if it is in the tabular form, it will provide you a ready source of information at the time of discussion chapter. So this can be the another way. Mainly, let us focus upon the remaining elements at earliest and the fast. What is citation? So any source of information which has been provided in text, that is within your work, is known as a citation. Normally, it has been provided in terms of surname and the year of publication, and the detailed information about that publisher is been posted in the in the form of referencing, which has been submitted at the end of your research paper or at the end of your dissertation. Referencing is more informative, more descriptive. Citation simply provides, okay, this is the source and from where we have referred to this paper which was been published in this particular year. Even in order to save the space, there is an option available just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that is in text content, and it is been descripted in the form of referencing. So these are the few examples of referencing. As we have different sections, so we will not focus much more upon it, but only simply like single author citation will be in this format and so on. So just you can go through. We will be discussing separately, that's why I'm not focusing. These are the some of the referencing styles, popular referencing styles: APA, Chicago, Harvard, MLA, Vancouver, etc. This is how the multiple reference is to be provided. What is plagiarism? Simply copying the text of someone else and presenting in our own words to be included in the form of plagiarism. There is a limit that your work should, plagiarism should not be more than 10%, otherwise your paper will be rejected. So ultimately, we need to provide the credit to the source from where we are adopting those contents. These are the some foot points which you need to focus, and that is simply to acknowledge the original source from through which you are copying this content. For that, it has been required. These are the some of the steps involved to overcome the plagiarism. Ultimately, we need to learn that how to cite the work and how to reference it. These are the few resources has been adopted, and there is a disclaimer that all the original contents are copyrighted to the original authors, and if case if you want to copy, take the due permission before proceeding. So thank you from my side, and thank you for patiently listening to me. The session is open for queries. Yes, anyone who's having any doubts or queries, please unmute your mic.
Uh, yes, participants, if you have any questions, please go ahead. The platform is open now.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening, sir.
I am Dr. Subramanian. My question is whether a review of a paper can be published in a reputed journal, and what can be
Obviously, sir. I told you, na.
so what can
Initially, First of all, just like even if you ask your scholars to do the same work, I found it more fruitful as rather than if we ask them to complete with the introduction chapter and then going through the review, because the review will open our mind. Many of the things will comes out in that way, and you will just go through any related topic. You will find many lecture review papers through the web also. You can download them, ask them to read it, and in the similar manner they can develop the paper. Definitely, it should be published in the international publication because there is more importance of such type of review papers.
No, is a particular structure to present the review of a paper to be published in the journal?
Sir, I have already discussed the style remains the same.
Okay.
It should be, once you are talking about the review paper, it carry many reviews. So you need to subdivide either on the basis of the themes, your objectives, maybe the demographic characteristics or the global characteristics, that is the geographical characteristics. It depends upon the type of paper they want to develop. Okay, just for my example, initially I developed a review paper on my three objectives, and it was further subdivided as international evidences and national.
Okay.
Ayya, ma'am, please. Yes, sir. Some background is coming. This can be the way. You can
Okay.
okay. Yes, anyone?
Good evening, sir.
Ji, good evening.
My question is this, sir. In social science, what is the most popular pattern which we will use for review of literature?
Sir, there is nothing like that. It all depends upon the choice of the author. All patterns are highly acceptable. Normally, when we talk about the social sciences, historical pattern is very common. Okay. But when you want to go with the current affairs based topics, then you can decide which pattern you wish to adopt. Again, the same thing. The three portions I have just shown you. One is the thematic. If it is, it can be used, but otherwise, historical pattern can be adopted, and it has been very frequently used.
Sir, you are requested to tell us again what are the difference between the three parameters.
Okay. Please allow me a moment.
Yes, yes, sure. Sir.
These three factors I have discussed. One is the historical.
Yes.
This can be the one thing. If it is related with the thesis work, then definitely it should be subdivided. Either it may be objective basis or it may be on the basis of the contents. Number one thing. Or maybe the review, the questions, the problems which you have identified. It can be even on that portal. Okay. This is the historical pattern. So I have already shown that the event which organized occurs first will come first. In social sciences, this is very commonly adopted. This is historical. No, here you can
Yes,
see
sir.
my example. This is objective one, international evidences, and then Indian evidence. This is of my paper of my dissertation work.
Yes, sir.
Second way, that is by publication. If you think that the whatever the publication is more related to the topic must come first, irrespective of the chronological order. So here there is somewhat difference between the first and the second point. Here might be possible any publication in 2023 is more related as compared to any publication made in 1980. You can argue when you are defending work that they will definitely ask, because in India mostly it has been adopted on the historical basis, but once you go with the foreign publications, they always insist on the latest publication rather than the historical publication. This is the second way. And third is the
Yes.
thematic. Thematic again can be subdivided on the basis of the topic, but in the second part, under thematic, they will follow the historical patterns. So you need to decide. Nothing like that. Is it okay, sir?
Yes, sir. Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hello, sir. Good evening.
Thanks, sir.
Hello, sir. My name is Samuel. While you were talking about review paper, I got an idea. Just I'm expecting from suggestion from you, sir. I got an idea to do a research paper on artificial intelligence. So based on that, can I classify the role of artificial intelligence in different field, how it prevails in different field like tourism, healthcare, educations? Can I classify the role of artificial intelligence on different field to do the review paper, sir?
Yes, you can do it, sir. First of all, you need to decide your objectives. Otherwise, it will be too elaborative term. Once you're talking about the use of artificial intelligence to the various sectors in the economy, it will be too wide. So you first of all narrow your terms. If you can be very specific, just like in terms of health, because health can be subdivided to the various sub elements and it can be further subdivided. So the first thing that it should be always focused to the micro level, then the macro level, and then you decide the reviews on it. Second thing, just like AI is the somewhat very new concept, so in that case you follow the thematic pattern. Whichever the things comes first, you include first, and then you can move back on the basis of historical information. But please limit your search, because it will otherwise it will be too elaborative and you will not find the real outcome of your study. Is it okay, sir?
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Sir,
Always
good
when we talk
evening, sir.
about research, now it should be very focused upon the topic. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, good evening,
Sir,
sir. Yeah, Purviya ma'am, please.
Hi. Yes,
yes,
ma'am.
yes.
Yeah, ma'am. Purva, ma'am. Please.
Uh, yes, yes. So very nice session.
Thank you.
Because being a scholar, this is very much helpful to how to write a research paper. In fact, a good research paper, I can say.
Good research paper.
Research papers are common these days, but good research paper is more important. So, my question is that, so many times our guide himself used to say ki just take your papers from your thesis and all these things. But how we can authenticate these things? Because no doubt I have done my thesis myself. But picking just a chapter and publishing it in any journal or in a care reviewed journal whatsoever, but what should be the strategy to do such a thing? I just want to get an idea from you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. The biggest challenge is to overcome the problem of plagiarism. So this is to be considered as a self-plagiarism. Because even if you pick a literature review from your thesis, dissertation work, and if you get it published, so whichsoever is been published first will be considered as an original content, and the second one will be plagiarized. For example, if you have taken that content and you have got your paper published, that is the original source, and once the thesis go through that process, it will be plagiarized and vice versa. So in that case, you can have your objectives that can be common, no issues, and after that, you can take the authors, but it should be rewritten in a different format. Exact words should not be copied from your thesis to a research paper. This is the first thing. So to overcome the challenge of plagiarism is the biggest element. That should be rewritten. Now what next you can do? Suppose for example you have considered 40, 50 authors. So you can take the help of few more publications once you are publishing a literature review in the form of a review paper. So this can be two ways you can adopt. Otherwise, it will be under plagiarism, and that is and then it gets an importance.
Sir, but if thesis is already published, then
But you can't take it out. Na 100% copying it will be copied. Same, I'm repeating my sentence. You can take the authors, but don't copy the whole content of your thesis into a form of review paper. Earlier, it was been possible because no content was been available on the net. Now we are having a Shodh Ganga and PC. I'm just forwarding the PC. This all are publishing our own work. Even if it has been earlier published, they scan and upload on the net. So it will be catched by the software. So originality has been not there. So you need to modify them.
yes, sir, yes,
है ना?
yes,
So
sir, because
it
it's
is a
already in Shodh Ganga,
patient,
no?
it requires the
Yes,
patience
yes.
and a time consuming job. Literature reviews consumes too much time. due to only this factor.
Okay,
Okay.
sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, ma'am.
I've already asked earlier, Deepak sir. Actually, how can we have access to IEEE and Web of Science journals, sir, latest journals, sir?
Number one, there few of them are freely available. That is, open access journals are there. Secondly,
Okay.
if you are having any selected, so you can just use the help of Delnet and such type of online resources are available. Thirdly, if not so possible, then even if you are in a university or an institute, so you can also take the login or you can go to there and you can access those journals, because
Okay.
otherwise it's very costly. Providing
Yes, sir.
the-
Institutional. You mean to say institutional sign-in?
Yes, ma'am. That is it.
But if we are doing our research part time, then obviously institution may not offer it, no, sir. Then in such cases, how can we have an access?
No, that is not like that, because you used to take the institutional membership or library membership or the university library membership. That is mandatory. So
Okay.
normally these facilities are commonly accessible. If not so, you can just go and make a visit to IIT nearby you if feasible to you, and you
Okay.
take the membership. I will just like to quote my example. I belong to Indore, and my guide had at that time recommended me to IIM Indore. I took the membership. It was at a very, very nominal rate, and I
Okay.
could access that library because otherwise it was not feasible to purchase those papers.
So IITs are going to provide that facility.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. They provide. You need to just search upon that. They provide the facility to outside research scholars, and they will
Okay.
provide you. You will get a solution from them, or even from their library. You can just put your query. They will help you out. Otherwise, Delnet has been there. JGET is there. Use
Okay.
it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else, please? Okay, ma'am. I think no further queries.
Yes, sir. So shall we conclude, sir?
Yes.
Okay, sir. So it's time to conclude today's session. But before that, I want to express my sincere appreciation to every participant. A heartfelt acknowledgement is extended to our esteemed speaker, Dr. Deepak Agrawal, sir, for generously sharing invaluable insights. His explanations are truly commendable. Additionally, I extend our sincere gratitude to the organizing committee and sponsors for their unwavering support, which has been instrumental in the success of these programs. With profound gratitude for everyone's participation, we officially conclude today's session. Your contribution have been immensely valued. Thank you so much.
Thank you to all the participants and team RFI.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.